Welcome back. And of course, I'm still joined by the Minister of Higher Education and Training. That is, of course, Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane, alongside the head of NSFAS, Mr. Freeman Nomvalo. And of course, this is just breaking news. We understand that the minister has just announced the amount for allowances as well as the focus of this year, that TIVET colleges must get the same amount as universities, students that have never, and that has never actually happened before. So, Minister, I want you to tell us how this new announcement is actually going to address some of the current challenges that is faced by the sector. All right, so the president during his SONA had announced that an education funding model for the missing middle, TIVET, as well as artisanal institutions, and with the understanding from the president's speech yesterday, he alluded to the country not having a lot of money to do, to keep up to some or fulfill some of the obligations as well as some of these priorities. So where is this money going to come from?
No, what we've decided, we're working according to the envelope that we have for this current financial year.
Okay.
We're still waiting for the Minister of Finance then to table his budget, but we don't think it is going to affect us. We believe that we're on the right track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So, Mr. Freeman, we're talking about how this the announcement is now going to affect your operations as NSFAS. Talk to us about the current funding model pertaining to NSFAS when it comes to TIVET colleges as well as other artisanal institutions.
Well, government 6-7 years ago decided on a comprehensive funding model. And that comprehensive funding model means that we will pay for tuition, for books, for living allowance, for transport, for accommodation. And what then has been happening is that university students, in as far as the living allowance is concerned, have been enjoying a much higher allowance compared to TIVET colleges. And that now is going to begin to change. We haven't gotten to the equal status yet, but this decision signals the minister's intention that we get there. I already said that this will then lead to us continuing with the process of processing applications. And as far as processes applications up to what we call provisionally funded first, and then that allows students to go to institutions, to the financial aid offices, and they get financial clearance, and after they get financial clearance, they're able to go and register. They're able to go and enroll. But then we need to confirm those enrollments so that we know exactly which students is where and which student lives in what accommodation, so that we can also make sure that some of the challenges that we've been seeing in the accommodation space are minimized because we are able to confirm and validate early enough which student is living in which accommodation, which student is registered for which program.
Minister, you've also just recently announced, of course, a new NSFAS board. Talk to us about that and, of course, some of their duties that they have to fulfill as they head straight into the ground running.
Yeah, they've started to hit the ground running. You know, I'm very happy that the cabinet has actually approved the new board of NSFAS. And you know what I'm happy about is that we have the cream of the crop. We have tried to attract or to absorb or to appoint those that we believe that they have diverse skills and they are going to turn around the institution. The chair currently is a woman. You know, I believe in women-led institutions as much as I also consider men as valuable and people that can actually add value in our institutions. Have you seen, as we have seen, Mr. Nomvalo has been steering the ship alone, and he has done a very wonderful work. But I believe that with the board in place that is going to then execute its fiduciary duties, then the entity is going to then turn around and they are going to ensure that there is stability in terms of governance, administration, as well as management in that entity. We have set the 28th of this month as their orientation session. It is going to be on the 28th, and we're looking forward for that date. Already they do have some ideas, and they've been joining us when we're rolling out these university visits in the country. I believe they are going to change the shape and size of that entity and make sure that they come up with sustainable solutions to some of the challenges that we're facing in that entity.
Freeman, I mean, let's talk about the fact that NSFAS has been faced with a lot of challenges. It's not just this year. It's almost every single year we're hearing of new and sometimes old issues pertaining to funding delays, administrative inefficiencies. So what current measures are being implemented then or put in place to ensure that students actually receive their allowances well before getting into a new academic year?
Well, first and foremost, we had a big problem with allowances last year when we were using direct payment partners. Students were not receiving their money. Students would see that there's an amount that has been credited to their accounts. When they go the following day to withdraw, they see that that amount has reduced and they have not done any transaction and so on. So one of the things we had to do is to stabilize that part of the organization. And we made sure that we pay student allowances for TIVET college students directly to their bank accounts. The university students are still being paid through the universities. Over and above that, we had a certain problem last year where students' statuses would change on a regular basis. Today you are funded, tomorrow you are not funded, and so on. We've tried to make sure that the systems are stable, and we've tried to make sure that when systems fall down, we're able to produce reports that we can pass to our stakeholders so that our stakeholders can do the work that they need to do. We've created a consultative mechanism with people affected by the student accommodation, and working together, and the minister has given guidance as well in terms of how that should flow going forward. And we are ensuring that when the board gets on board, we are able to share the reports in terms of what has been happening, but also share some of the insights that we've derived in the organization so that the board can do its work effectively.
Absolutely. A very quick one, Minister, before I let you go. I mean, I'm sure you are aware, and just at the back of what Freeman is saying, I mean, the situation at Wits and UCT in relation to housing as well as financial exclusion has really put a dent in the start of this academic year. So what are you doing? I mean, with institutions refusing to actually scrap or totally scrap and remove those historic debts, what is the department then doing to assist those students that are affected?
We are engaging vice chancellors and the senior management as well as the Council of various institutions of higher learning in the country. Dr. Gondwe is dealing with the Western Cape. I'm dealing with KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, as well as Mpumalanga. Then DM Manamela is dealing with Gauteng, Northern Cape, as well as Limpopo. So I have already established a team that is going to look at all those issues. USAF is part of the team, which is an organization that organizes vice chancellors in South Africa. And then student formations in a form of SAFETA and SAUS, they are part of that a team that is going to look at these issues, as well as DHET and NSFAS. With the new board, it is going to be on board to look at these issues, but because we want to make sure that we address all these issues, we want to see our sector growing. We want to see our post-school education and training system stable. So we want to make sure that all the issues that students are concerned about and they are frustrated about are addressed on time. The other issue that we said we need to look at is how best then can we look at the student debt, because it's one of the critical issues that we're facing.
They cannot register for this year, Minister. There's a hunger strike that is currently going on at Wits at the moment.
Those are the issues that we're busy with. On Monday, DM Manamela is going to be at Wits. I will be in Mpumalanga. So we are hitting the ground running, and we want to make sure that our doors of culture and our doors of learning and culture are open to each and every student in South Africa. We are committed to that.
Thank you so much, Minister. I know we're out of time. Freeman, can you guarantee that the housing issues for students will be resolved before the end of February, or can you give us a timeline at this particular point?
Well, because part of the problem is the shortage of beds.
Yes.
it would be lying to South Africans to say by the end of the month. But
okay, so we don't have
problems relating to payment, problems relating to onboarding and so on, those types of problems, we are working on ensuring that are resolved as quickly as possible, so that students can have focus their attention in the learning process.
Absolutely. Minister, thank you so much. Freeman, thank you so much to both of you for coming in to be with us in studio this afternoon with great news indeed. Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane there is the Higher Education Minister alongside Mr. Freeman Nomvalo, NSFAS head, giving us great news there. As you heard, she has just announced the amount for allowances, and the focus this year at that TIVET colleges must get the same amount as university students, which is something that has never happened before.